Authentic Life in Inclán Studios with my friend Paola Katz, but I know her as Contreras. I've actually known your family through your father, who was Silestone in Houston back when I was Cangelosi Marble. So we all are evolving together.
Exactly.
And I connected with you because I work out in the same studio that you do, and met your mom again, and we started talking, and I love to talk, as most people know. And I reached out to you, came to your incredible sale that you had at a pop-up shop, and you guys, it was so classic. They had turned off the lights that day. So literally, I was in the dressing room with my flashlight trying on, and you're apologizing. I'm like, oh my God, I don't care. I just have to see how great these colors are, because that's one of the best things about your pieces is your colors.
That was so amazing of you to be such a good sport about the no air conditioning in the middle of summer and also no light.
I mean, but I felt like I was on this adventure picking out all these great things. And you guys have seen me wearing so many of their pieces. So I think the first time I ever met you, I bought 15 of your pieces. So today I'm wearing one of your classic white blouses, but it has this great accent of the elastic here. So, but it's not too tight. And then, of course, these incredible pants, y'all, they are, what I say about your line is it's luxurious yet comfortable.
Yes.
I love it for travel. I love it for packing. I'm always thinking about, like, what palette am I going to take on the trip to have the least amount of shoes I have to bring, and how I can make it all work. And there's always something of yours.
Oh, that makes me feel so good.
Isn't it?
That's exactly, I mean, our goal, right, is to make women feel beautiful but also very comfortable. I mean, I would say that my style is practical. I have to be comfortable in order to feel good.
And you have on a beautiful piece from your fall line.
Yes.
You not only design the clothes, but you design the fabrics oftentimes too. And this one is called the Oyster.
The oyster print.
Okay.
So one of our very good friends from the Art Institute actually designed it for us. So we brought her ideas and a bunch of different pictures of oysters, and she was just like, okay, I think and like after 2 or 3 different times of changing it, we came up with this. And she's so talented. We love her.
So cool. Okay, so you met your business partner, Clarence, at the Art Institute, and you came up with the idea of building this brand in 2013, and you've made it through COVID. You are, I mean, you were celebrating, what is that?
7 years.
7 years.
Yep.
See, I'm not so good with math. I'm great with fashion. I mean, 7 years. It feels like we aged all so much during COVID.
I know.
But so we were talking about, it's even been hard to source materials to produce.
Yes.
You just received your line for fall, but it's come even in stages.
I know. We received our last fabric on Monday this week, and I mean, we're just trying to finish it all for delivery too and get it out to stores in time, and we're a little late.
But you work with not just local boutiques, but you sell throughout the country.
Yes, so we're mostly concentrated in boutiques across the Southeast.
Oh, great. Okay, so your background, I found this is really interesting. You grew up with a lot of exposure to travel with your family.
Yes.
You guys spent a lot of time in different places, but you also went to school near Boston.
Yes.
So you weren't always a fashion girl.
Right. No, I actually played soccer. I played sports. So in high school, I went to a boarding school called IMG Academy in Florida, and I played soccer. And then I went up to Merrimack and played soccer for 2 years in college, and then stopped because I wanted a social life instead of playing soccer all the time.
Well, soccer has skyrocketed in visual, or I guess people really noticing women's soccer because you've done so well with the Olympics. Was that, I mean, did you literally get up every morning and practice for hours? And
Yes, actually, in high school, I played soccer longer than I went to school. So we'd be in school. It was like a block schedule, and we'd be in school for like, I don't know, 4 hours, let's say. And we'd be first training in the morning and then school and then more training in the afternoon. It was very intense.
It's so interesting because I find out when I interview podcast guests, and my perception of success isn't just someone who is financially strong, but also someone who seems balanced in their life and can really find joy. And I found that commitment to, yes, what they love, fashion, but there's also levels of commitment in athletics. Like whatever you do with
total, complete conviction. Absolutely.
And you're a mom now.
Yes.
So
yes.
For me, that's the hardest part of my job is balancing how much I give to Bella versus how much I give to Rob.
Right.
Versus how much I give to the business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you have a little one.
Yes. He is almost 2. He'll be 2 in November.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so are you having to travel to go to buy fabrics? Did you go to market? How do you manage all that?
So after I had Bear, it was a really interesting time because COVID had just started. So I had Bear in November of 2019, and COVID started in February or end of February of 2020. And so I was able, at the time I decided, I'm just going to trickle in. I had Clarence and our pattern maker Tao come over to my house to work a little bit at home. And then COVID started. And so I kind of had a little bit more time with him at home than I normally would have. And then now it does feel like I'm giving more to him than I originally was supposed to, per se.
Good.
And I'm seeing more of a balance than I thought I would have.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Because I feel like as a mom, we always want to take care of other things, and then we also have to take care of ourselves. I mean, such a big part of being a fashion designer is you coming up with the creative mindset behind it, and you being able to really draw on that. I mean, I even feel that every day that I have to show up on social media, like, what is my compelling story today?
Right.
What am I going to do to make someone else's life better? And you're thinking about, what am I going to design that someone will really like? And what I've seen in just knowing you this little bit of time is that you have repeated some of the same things that people know and love, but you do it with a new fabric. But you're not totally reinventing the wheel, and you're going back to classic yet on-trend things. I love that Diana was such a big part of your line and your inspiration, and I feel like everywhere I look now, she's out there. I mean, Dior is more popular than ever, and they have the Lady Dior, the Diana bag. So I feel like I see so much of that there. Now they have a musical on Netflix. You were telling me about a movie that
Spencer. Yep.
Yes, with Kristen Stewart. I gotta check that out. But like you spent time in the Boston area and you experienced that lifestyle.
So our whole, I guess, inspiration for this collection was, first we took Diana as our muse, and we thought, what would Diana wear today? Not back then, she would still be classic, but she'd have her kind of style. She would have a bit of edge, and so we kind of thought she would still be preppy, and she lives in that world of polo and that world of tennis. And so we kind of took that, and then when we kept on the preppy kind of wavelength, and then I pulled in the fact that I spent a lot of time in the Cape when I was in college. And kind of played in Hamptons, Cape life. What would she wear on, Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of clothing, and went crazy.
I love it. And so I asked you if your haircut was inspired by that, and you said no, you've been wearing it like this for years.
Yeah, 2005.
And I love your glasses also.
Thank
I feel
you.
like they're so on trend. As you guys know, I'm trying to age gracefully, so I have my fabulous shades on that I bought from my friend Sylvie. But let's talk about some of these things. I loved that you show the Hamptons here, and I have to grab this one piece right here because I said I love your orange and your red. I mean, this to me is more red than orange, but you call this color lobster.
Yep.
And I think that, like, I used to just think, oh my gosh, what would you put with this? Only black or white or camel, which I love how then you put in this camel and pull this in with the stripe here, which is also so preppy because you have to remember, girl, I was living the 80s. I graduated in 1986. So like this stripe is definitely what we were doing. I think it was Juicy Couture, which was that was in the early 90s with Paris Hilton. But tell us a little bit about the colors, how you get such depth of color.
We really pull color from our inspiration images. So when we saw, I don't know if you can see
nailed it
exactly
right there.
The lobster and then the color of the fish and everything, we were just like, oh, perfect. And then also with the beige, we called it biscotti.
Oh, yes. And I love, so this seersucker, to me, this is completely summer in Nantucket and the Hamptons. But this is like the headscarves, or like you're right, it's so popular.
It's super now.
I love that look with Grace Kelly, with the big glasses, with Jackie O tying a scarf. So this is a scarf for your head, for your body, for your...
Exactly. Like we have a boutique that bought it to wear it as a tube top or a top. And so you can tie it. We made it big enough to where you can tie it in so many different ways, like the Hermes scarf.
I love it. Yes, it's so true. And I tell that story often. I bought my first Hermes scarf when I went to Paris in 1991. And now I have it framed as a pillow in my house. But how many other things that you bought 30 years ago are you still wearing and it's still in style? And I feel like the scarf has really come back.
Absolutely.
In such a big way.
It's a classic.
It is a
for
classic.
Sure.
I also love this. I'm such a great stripe girl and a ruffle girl, and I love peplums. And I just think all that together. And then here we also have, because we love football, we've got this for the LSU or TCU. I mean, and I was saying too, even Chanel is making purple bags. Like it's just, and look, you've got this great undertone of purple in there. And then what I also love is this kind of undertone of purple in this beautiful shirt. And this one I showed also in the lobster. So tell us about this style that you designed.
This style, I would say, is part of our classic. Sorry, I covered. It's part of our classic, mix, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And the color just shine, and it reflects so much.
We bring it back season after season. Mm-hmm. We're tired of it, but it sells so well. It covers the butt. You can tuck it in.
And then you do the little front tuck here, and then you have this out in the back, and it's just such a great look. And I love it because as I'm aging, I'm not so excited about shorts. But oh my God, let's talk about your incredible shorts that you do. I bought a few pairs. This, I bought the ones in kind of a linen, I believe. Yep. But then you have them in silk and, oh my God.
Vegan leather.
Vegan leather. I know, it's much a cooler name than pleather. It's kind of like saying I don't sell used handbags, I sell pre-owned.
Exactly. Well, words really do play a big...
Words matter. Everybody, words matter. Exactly. And it's great for the sustainability.
Yes.
And saving all those animals. But I love the cut. I love the way it flares out, but not too far.
Right.
And they're a length that a woman who's older can wear and feel comfortable with. And tell us about, so you did this also in this great...
matching Stevie.
Yes. Which also, can you hold that up for us?
Of course.
Look at that. Oh my God. I would be so cute in that. Okay. So tell us also about how you grew up. Tell us about your family origin and what family impacted you in your whole journey as a designer.
So my parents are both from Mexico City. They actually went to the same, or not same high school, but my mother was a cheerleader for my dad's football team, you know.
Your mom is so beautiful.
They've been together since, I think my dad was my mom's first boyfriend. So I know, it's mind-blowing.
Wow.
Yes. And then they got married very young when they were still in Mexico because my dad was moving to the United States to go to college. And so they got married and they moved here. And so I'm first generation. I'm the first of my family born here in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you have a sibling.
I have two. I have an older sister who was born in Mexico and then a younger brother.
And did you always love fashion? Were you like looking through magazines, pulling out papers?
Yes, I would play dress up in my mom's closet. I'm lucky that she loves fashion as well. I remember my sister was like dabbling in modeling for a little bit, and I remember looking at this like model magazine where Kate Moss was on the cover and everything, and just being like so in awe of just that entire world, you know. I also thought for a long time when I was in college, even I went to college for business because I was like, fashion, I mean, like there's so much competition, it's really hard to make it. But then when I went back to school for design, that's when I learned there's always a place, there's a niche, there's something that you can find that'll separate you from everyone else. And so that's what we're trying to do.
And so you and Clarence are business partners, but how did you like come to a place? How do you decide who designs what and who takes the lead and who steps back? Because when I do that dance with Rob being my husband, I was just telling you I was mad at him today. But he's lucky we're going out of town and I have to be nice. But it's like, how do you guys gel?
So I started Inclán and hired Clarence straight out of school. And then after that, I mean, Clarence has given his everything into Inclán. And so in that, I'm more creative director. Clarence comes up with all the amazing ideas and everything. I choose fabrics, we design together, and then I kind of decide like this, that, you know, this yes, this no, and like let's expand on this, and really he does all the amazing work.
Oh, wow. Okay, and then you mentioned having a pattern maker, and I read that you started as a pattern maker?
Yes.
I mean, I'm a fashion girl, and I didn't really know that was a title.
So pattern maker is when you're making basically, like, in order to cut the shape onto fabric, you have to make a pattern, which is like the shape of the dress. And like the shape of the dress is cut into multiple pieces. And so we had a pattern maker, Tao, but she moved to California, and so now we're working with a man named Dale, and who's doing a great job.
Wow, it seems like such a niche.
Yes, it really is. If anyone knows of pattern makers, we'd love to add to our mix.
Okay, so you've been in competitions. You were in Little Black Dress, and I love that. And tell us, and you were also in fashion. There was another thing that I read about that I forgot to mention, but tell me how that works. Like, have you?
This was when I was in school. Heart
of Fashion. You were featured as an emerging designer. So tell us about how those competitions go and what that's all about.
So Little Black Dress, I mean, when I was in school, one of the main things that kind of drives designers and drives kids in school is our competitions, and a healthy competition. I think you need that in order to kind of motivate you to keep going.
Yes.
Also, that plays, the whole sports thing. I'm motivated and driven by competition. That's what's like kept me in the game, kind of thing. So I did Little Black Dress. It featured leather. It featured like kind of like this sporty vibe to it, and somehow got third place.
So exciting. Yeah. And I've worked with Jeff Shell on a few of those projects too, and Allie Shell and I are good friends now, and they're Neil Hamill. There's it's interesting, everyone thinks you have to go to New York to be a designer. How has it played for you being in Houston?
So I would say it's kind of given us an advantage, I always played around with the idea, should I go to New York, and I didn't want to be a little fish in a big pond. So I think that it's given us a slight edge, I would say, being from the South and saying, oh, well, we're from Houston, and it kind of piques people's interest, but it also is a bit of a disadvantage because we don't have, the garment district right at our fingertips, and when it comes to sourcing, we have to plan ahead. We were just in New York a few weeks ago and being like, oh, wow, this is amazing having every little bead or button or everything at your fingertips. Whereas here you have to plan ahead and make them or, figure things out. It's made us different, I would say, definitely.
So did you go to New York and also set up that buyers would come and buy from you?
Yes. So we were there in New York with our spring collection. Emily, my sales rep, was with the collection while Clarence and I went around sourcing.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And what's the vibe of New York?
I would say it's getting back to old New York. Yes, you had to show your vaccination card, but to eat inside. But it was so nice outside. Everyone wanted to be outside. People were walking around, some with masks, some not. It's coming back for sure.
Did it feel like Fashion Week?
So we were there the week after Fashion Week.
Got it.
Yeah. But I would imagine, yes, the week before for sure.
And did you find inspiration there from street style?
I swear we would sit outside on purpose just to watch everyone walk by, and Clarence just kept saying.
Your favorite?
So obviously Soho is incredible. And then also Tribeca. It's like working moms kind of vibe, and I really, really enjoyed spending time in Tribeca.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. And that's also, I just love to see people, and my favorite place to see people on the street is Italy. I feel like there's something about even more so the Italian man than the Italian woman.
Yes.
Is your father, does he like fashion?
I think you wouldn't catch him saying that he's into fashion, but he's very cognizant as to what he wears. He has his own flair. He loves red socks. He loves, if you see him working throughout, Monday through Friday, he's wearing some form of a red sock. Yeah, one Christmas we all had to buy red socks for him. It's so interesting. Red's my favorite color.
Aw, that's so funny. I love that. So, do you find that as a U.S. designer, you're able to be considered in other places, or how is that going as far as international? Are people excited to work with a Texas designer? Because I find when I go to Europe, I don't say I'm an American. I say I'm a Texan, and they're like, oh, do you have a horse?
Yes. When we first started out, we were in a store in Japan.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they had picked us up at LA Market, and we were there for a couple seasons, and then all of a sudden we didn't hear from her. It was hard to get in touch with her because it's an international.
And the time difference. Yeah.
So that hasn't come up since, but we're super open to it. We would love to be, focused elsewhere. I also think that you have to put yourself out there, like at Paris Market or London Market, and
you
bring the collection. Physically be there in a showroom. Exactly.
Showing people the style and helping them understand it. But I feel like the Houston, Texas woman is very fashionable.
Yes.
And even when I travel other places, I think women in Miami dress up. Mm-hmm. But I found even the New Yorkers I know, unless they're going to work, they're not as dressed as a Houston woman on a daily basis.
Right. It's more like a Southern thing, I would say.
Maybe that's it.
Being in the South, putting on makeup, doing your hair, the big hair. It's a look, and so they're more accustomed to putting themselves together as opposed to the ease of New York style, whereas you don't technically have to brush your hair.
Yes, in Colorado, I even find that to be true.
Right.
You guys
Absolutely.
are in Telluride. We
Yes.
spend a lot of time in Vail. And there are people who are dressed up, but it's definitely athleisure as is day wear.
Right.
And that's why I love so many of your cuts is that you can have a comfortable feel but still be wearing clothes.
Right.
And not Lululemon.
Exactly. Feel elevated, but comfortable. Number one is comfort.
Yeah. So if people wanted to, are there boutiques in Houston where people can shop?
So we are in Golden and Memorial, and then we will also be in Tootsie's in December.
Yay! I didn't know if you could say that.
I don't know if I can either.
No, I love it. Tootsie's is such a great space, and I feel like they give so much credibility to local designers. And I love to be able to go in there, and it's actually one of the first places I saw Christy Lynn, and it's where I seen Hunter Bell, and I know she's a New York designer, but I feel like she's a Southern girl too, and I love David Peck, and of course Chloe Dow. So there's definitely some great Houston designers bringing things to the marketplace. And I feel like that people work with each other as opposed to cutthroat competitively.
Yep. I feel like everyone has their own vision, and it's so different. If you compare us to Christy or Hunter or even Chloe or David, everyone has something different going on. So there's not really competition, it's more complementary.
Yes. And tell us about your time at the Art Institute. I was so lucky to have been introduced to Marina Saba. She's the incredible artist that did all of the
illustrations,
images, illustrations, sketches for the children's book I wrote with Bella, and she truly made a difference in my life, her heart, her soul. And I feel like so many other professors there were really incredible.
She was my favorite professor, and she knows this too, so I can say it out loud.
Shout out to you, Marina.
Yes, but she would just give so much inspiration, and her illustrations are incredible. And
I love following her feed.
Yes,
when you can see she
her
speeds
working.
At the time,
yes,
and she just does it so. And I was able to really convey to her what I had in mind, and she was able to translate that, which is not something that always works. So I felt like it was an incredible connection. So tell us about some of the other amazing graduates of the Art Institute.
So one of our best friends, the one who designed the print, her name is Alexa DiBiasio, and she's working with a company in Stafford. I think she's designing multiple things, not just clothing. I think it's like some homeware and some other stuff. So she's just so talented. Very, very talented. She worked with Francesca's for a while, and then Academy, and then now she's with this other company. I'm not sure what it's called.
So I think so many young girls, I remember Bella in her kindergarten year, I think, we bought the auction item, and they took pictures of every child in her class, and they had a chalkboard, and they wrote on it what they wanted to be. And hers was fashion designer. And one kid was a billionaire, so I thought that was funny.
Me too.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't know that I knew what a billionaire was, but that's a good goal.
Right? Yeah.
But there's so much more involved. So what has been your favorite part of it, and what is the part that stretches you the most?
That is a great question. So my favorite part of it is that design, people always think like, oh, glamour, glitz and glamour for runway shows, but really design is going to your hobbit hole, designing and doing things behind the scenes, which I love. I love being behind the scenes, and that takes me to the other one where what I struggle with is putting myself out there.
Well, you're doing it beautifully today, girl.
Thank you. Even when we used to do runway shows or anything, walking out there, it's just like literally my whole body clenches up, and because it's not about me. It was about the teamwork that put it together. That's another reason why I didn't call Inclán Paola Contreras or Paola Katz. I called it Inclán to separate myself because the collection comes together with multiple people, not just me.
Oh. And is that a word in another language?
Inclán is actually my grandmother, my mother's maiden name.
Oh.
So it's a tribute to her. She was a single mother, you know, took care of her 4 kids, worked like multiple jobs, and then she also, it's a tribute to women's lineage, you know, not losing your last name, which is why I kept my last name as my middle name, even though I want to have Katz as my last name and have the same last name as my son, but I still kept Contreras.
Completely me. So I'm Danae Cangelosi Cremosta, and Bella is Bella Cangelosi Cremosta.
Yeah.
People are like, why do you have that long name? And then when she was young, she was like, Mom, there's so much to spell. I'm like, one day you'll appreciate it.
Yes.
And I think, literally, I think family is so important to us, and I feel like the Italian family is very similar also to the family from Mexico, where it's generational, and there's also so much power in that, and in the connection of raising kids. I mean, that's why we're in Houston, Texas, is my family is here, and I wanted to raise Bella near my parents, and have her know her cousins, and have her know about generations before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we live in Houston because I wanted Bella to be near her grandparents and her cousins and all of that.
Yep. We grew up in the Hispanic culture. It's very normal to, like, Sundays, let's say, is like family day. I remember, you know, my friends would call and like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you want to hang out? And I'm like, I'm sorry. They're like, oh, I forgot. It's family day. And that was like in 7th grade, you know, and we'd always go over to my grandparents' house. All of my aunts and uncles would be there. And it's a big part of our lives, you know, and it also plays a big part in how I want to raise my son.
So would you send your son to boarding school?
No.
So Bella keeps asking to go, and I'm like, honey.
I asked to go. But I'm going to say that, you know, I think boarding school is great. It made me super independent. You know, I have friends all over the world, you know. It's not just in Houston, and I think it made me more open to being able to speak to people and to situations and be more adaptive. But I want to keep him closer to me. I think that one of the things that I didn't learn, you know, I left home so early, and I don't know. I think,
were you a freshman?
I was a sophomore.
Okay.
So, you know, I at least had freshman year at home, but I think I'm also the middle child, so I kind of like wanted to like get away kind of thing. I don't know. I know I answered that super like no right away, but
I think that's fair, like, because I
maybe
think
for like 1 year or a post-grad year, you know.
Right. But you figured out that it could be good for you, but it might not be what's best for your son. And I think also things change so dramatically.
Yeah.
And it is something that's so commonplace. If you're in New York and you don't go away to school your sophomore year, my nephew was literally, I think, one of 7 boys in his class that were freshmen, because everyone else of the 100 kids went away.
Right.
And so it's very commonplace, and it's odd to not go, whereas here
it's odd if you went. Honestly, I was like the only one of my I went to Clements for my freshman year.
Okay, I went to
Sugar
Dulles.
Land. Oh, okay.
Yes.
In Sugarland.
Yes.
And I was the only one that disappeared, like left. And I would come back for summers and hang out with everyone, and I was like the weirdo.
Oh my gosh, Sugarland has changed.
Yes, it really has.
Much. It's incredible. Okay, tell us also about your authentic style. Like, when did you feel like you came into your style, and do you feel like it's still evolving?
I think it's still evolving, I would say. I don't ever want to be like, okay, this is it. I do want to pull in new things constantly. I think that's part of my style, is to be adaptive.
Yes.
And to constantly pull in things that I really like. But I think I would say, I don't know. I think in high school is when I started to dress up. I remember in college, people knew me as the one that would like wear like nice clothes to the college parties or whatever. Because in Boston, it's freezing outside.
Yes.
So not a lot of
layers.
people, exactly. Not a lot of people would dress up, and so I remember like a girl that was a junior when I was a freshman was like, "Oh, you have a reputation to like dress up. You're like known." I was like, "Oh, that girl that wears the cute stuff."
Like, what a great reputation! But you're like, am I standing out?
Exactly. I'm like, I don't know if I like that.
But I love and I'm so jealous that they wear coats and scarves and hats because
The seasons.
I
know.
And a sweater in the summer.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking? No, we get to do that in Colorado, and then
Yeah, exactly.
also in Nantucket, which is where I wore my favorite pants. So can I show those to them?
Please.
Exactly.
So we decided to bring them back because Danae, they're over here.
Where are they?
Over here.
Okay,
on
good.
this.
Oh, this one right here. Okay, good.
Because Danae wore them so beautifully. We decided to bring them back, and they've been doing really well. So they kind of open up as you walk.
So as you walk, there's a little opening here. And what I find is that I love to buy pieces that can be mixed and match, and I love to buy designers that you're not going to see everyone wearing the same thing. And I love to mix my belts and my scarves and the earrings and have it all kind of balanced. Whereas if the dress is over the top and the scarves, like,
It's too
and
much.
these you could wear multiple times, which is the other reason that I love them for travel, is you can make it feel different.
Yes, absolutely.
And you style this too with the vegan leather, with the silk.
Yep.
And was it hard for you to find this fabric that doesn't wrinkle so much, but also lays right?
No, this is just normal crepe de chine. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, you can find it pretty much any silk vendor. But we're super choosy as far as like how tight the weave is. 16 mummies.
And I love that these almost look gray or black, and it can go with so much.
So it's a wash silk.
Oh, really interesting. And the other thing that I wanted to show people was this darling. Everyone knows how much I love Grace Kelly. Okay, your dog is
Yes.
on your fabric.
Yes. So one of our inspiration images has a
This
couple
dog
dogs
here. Yes, I see that.
And we were talking about preppy, dogs. We had this other fabric that we wanted to use, couldn't use it. So then we decided to develop our own. And I mean, I'm obsessed with our little dog. He's the sweetest dog. He's a Japanese Spitz. He's super cute. And our friend developed this for us.
Oh my God. I can't wait to develop a Grace Kelly image. And then this is also great. I love this. We're seeing more of the neon, but this is a neon in a way that's really easier to wear.
It's a little bit less shocking of a neon.
And these are peonies?
Peonies is actually Clarence's favorite flower.
Oh, I love them. And they're not available all the time. And
No,
to me,
I think it's only in the spring or something.
Yes, it's such, I think, also a New York thing. And here was another one that I thought was a super cool fabric also. This has
poppies.
The poppies, yes. And so you've got a little tie here and then also in the back. And I like the way your pleats lay too. I think that makes a big difference.
Thank you.
Really lovely, the combination of that lobster, orange red with the blue combination. So tell us what you have in store, like you're working on what's coming in next. You have the latest fall line. You said that shipped.
Yes, so that's some of those pieces are part of fall. That's what the oyster is part of fall. So that should be shipping out within the next 2 weeks, this week or next week. And then we have spring that's going to be in stores in February and March. We're also putting together a little capsule for holiday, which
nice.
is, we'll have like our little show that we do. We did before COVID and we haven't done since.
Hopefully that'll happen.
I know. We did it actually coincidentally the night I ended up going into labor. So I didn't make it to the show.
But the show went on?
The show went on. Clarence and my family, my sister was the MC, my mom was walking. It was a great family affair.
Talk about the show must go on.
Yes.
That is so crazy. And we'll look forward to seeing you at Tootsie's and other fabulous collaborations. And how can they find your website?
www.inclánstudio.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Paola.
Thank you, Danae.
It was so wonderful. And you'll be seeing me wearing a lot of her pieces, and we'll be posting a lot on stories in case you didn't know that was her pieces. I've worn it in Miami, New York. I'll be wearing it in Puerto Rico. And hopefully I'll be wearing it in Italy and France in summer.
Yes, I really hope so.
All right, guys. Until next week. Bye.